Alright, what's up everyone? So in this video, I want to talk about everything you need to be truly profitable in the markets. So this right here are, in my opinion, all the factors that contribute to your profitability, and you need to master all of them if you want to be truly profitable consistently. So there's going to be two main areas, psychology and strategy. I always tell people if you are unprofitable, it's because you're doing something wrong in at least one of those two areas. And we'll go over each of them in detail to help you put in perspective what the root cause of your unprofitability is. So then you can fix it. So let's get to it. So first I want to talk about strategy because it's the most simple and it should happen naturally throughout your trading career if you know what you're doing and if you're mindful of what you need to do. So for you to refine your strategy, and mind you, I'm a huge believer that you can pick any strategy and be profitable with it as long as you're trading it correctly. You don't need to trade the same strategy as I do. But regardless of what strategy you trade, you're gonna have to backtest it and you're gonna have to journal your trades. So when I say journaling, I'm not only talking about the trades you take during live, but also the ones you take during backtesting. A lot of people they will backtest it, but they're not gonna journal anything, and a lot of people that do journal it, they don't actually look back in their journal. So if you're constantly backtesting and getting data, and you're journaling every single trade you're taking, so I've done a guide on how to backtest and journal your trades properly. This allows you to go through an iteration process, which is where your progress is gonna happen. So an example of this is like, let's say you get a year of data and you're looking that 30% of your losses happened because your drawing liquidity was wrong, for example. So you know that from now on you gotta pay more attention to the high time frame. You're gonna do a proper analysis on the drawing liquidity, and you're gonna be more mindful of that when you're backtesting. So if you actually apply that to your trading, you're gonna increase your win rate by a little bit. And if you do that for every single pattern you recognize when you're backtesting and you're trading, those win rate gains are going to stack over time, and your win rate is going to go from 30, 40, 50% all the way to 60, 70, 80, maybe even 90 on good months. So another simple example, back in the day I used to trade 1 minute inversions all the time, and I noticed that over half of the losses I was taking were because I was ignoring a higher time frame gap in the leg. So we would get the 1 minute inversion and then we would respect like a 2 or a 3 minute. So after that I thought, okay, I'm gonna watch out for every single time frame in the leg to make sure I know where every gap in the leg is. What that did was it caused my win rate to go up 5-10%. So if you keep doing this, looking back at your journal and try to spot a pattern to why you're losing your trades, and you keep applying what you're learning to your trading, that's when progress is going to happen. So a lot of people, they'll be trading for a year and they're going to complain that they've been unprofitable for a year, and they can't name a single thing that they've improved on in the past month. And you should constantly be improving with your trading. Every single trade that you take, it should teach you at least one small thing about the market, and over the long run, you should get to where you want win rate wise. So by doing this iteration process, you can refine your strategy through the data you're gathering. On top of that, you're also going to get a lot of discretion and screen time, which is a huge factor when it comes to strategy, because realistically it's not going to be 100% mechanic, right? There's always going to be some discretion to it. So by going through this iteration, you build a lot of discretion, which usually takes a lot of time to build, but because you're backtesting and you're journaling with a lot of detail and you're looking back at them, you can build a lot of discretion really fast. This right here is definitely the key if you want to master your strategy and if you want to get comfortable with it in the long term. So as long as you develop the habit of backtesting, journaling, you're looking back at your journal, you're spotting patterns, you should be able to refine your strategy pretty quickly. It shouldn't take way too long. And most people, I would say they know how to trade their strategy and they're not too bad, but then that leads to the other half of the profitability, which is psychology. So this right here is the number one area where most traders stay unprofitable, because this is something that you could fix in a day or you could never fix it because it's you against you at that point, and there's nothing I can say really that's automatically gonna change your psychology, something you gotta work on. But hopefully this gives you some direction on what you need to do to be able to master your psychology in the markets. And I want to do a video just on trading psychology too, so that will be coming soon. Now, when we think about psychology, the first thing that you need to understand is that there is no such thing as trading psychology and trading discipline. There is just discipline and there's just psychology. So you can be a disciplined trader if you're not a disciplined person overall. So if you want to build discipline inside the charts, you're going to have to work on your self-respect and your discipline outside of the chart. So a lot of times for you to become profitable, you're going to have to optimize your routine outside of trading. And everyone, they look at the 2 hours they're looking at the charts every day, but they don't look at the other 22 hours that they're not looking at the charts. So, to give some tangible advice, if you are very consistent in the gym, you never cheat on your diet, you have the same sleep schedule every day, do you think that's gonna make you more likely or less likely to overtrade, force trades, have crash out days and blow your whole account? Of course, it's gonna be less likely because you're building discipline, you're developing your mindset outside of the charts, and that's gonna translate to your trading. Now, on top of that, there's also what I call mindset shifts, which would be common misconceptions that people have when they're trading regarding their psychology. So the most simple one I can think of is, let's say you have a P&L goal, right? You want to make 10K in the month, and you get in the charts and you take a losing trade. Let's say you lose $1,000. So you think, okay, I want to make 10K, but I just lost 1K, so I just got further from my goal. And that's a wrong way of thinking, because you getting closer or further to your goal doesn't depend on the day P&L, because that's way too short term. What actually matters is, did you follow your trading plan, yes or no? If you did, you got closer to your goal. If you didn't, you got further from your goal, regardless of the P&L, if it's green or red. And if you're constantly following your trading plan, your P&L should naturally reflect on it. So in the long term, if you're following your plan, you should get to that 10K, 100K, 50K, whatever P&L goal you have. So there are a few of them. This is just one example of them, and you need to make sure that you got this in order so you're approaching the charts in the right way, and it doesn't lead to forcing trades, having crash out days, things like that. So if you actually develop those two things, and that's mainly done by habits. This is something that usually is built over weeks and months, but that's going to set up a nice psychology foundation, and it's going to lead you to having proper risk management. It's going to cause you to be patient when you're looking at the markets. It's going to teach you how to deal with losses, and it's going to hopefully lower your greed, your fear of missing out, and all those other negative psychology traits that a lot of traders have, and it's what causes them to blow their accounts and be unprofitable. So if you refine your psychology by doing those things and building your long-term habits, and you're naturally refining your strategy in the long term, it should be just a matter of time until you reach constant profitability. So hopefully, by watching this video, you should be able to look at your trade and think, in what area of this am I lacking? So let's say you're backtesting, but you're not journaling, you're not looking back at your trades. This is something you need to work on, and it should help you refine your strategy. Or let's say, for example, that your routine outside the charts is terrible. So you're waking up 5 minutes before market open, you barely do anything productive during the day. That's naturally going to reflect on your trading. So hopefully you optimize your routine. That's going to reflect on the charts, and you're going to get closer to having a decent trading psychology. And in the long term, that's going to take you to your final goal, which is profitability. So hopefully this video gave you some guidance on where to go, and thanks everyone for watching. Peace.